Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Keep the Line Moving, the podcast designed to talk about leadership, life, and inspiration. I'm your host, Chris Gargano, and for episode 81, we're talking about passion and purpose and knowing your values. If you have that advantage of knowing your passion, purpose, and values, what can you get accomplished? Ryen Williams is an entrepreneur and our guest this week on Keep the Line Moving. In 2018, she started Under Her Empire, a creative agency that champions the power of social impact, intention, and unburdened imagination in every project. She will explain throughout this conversation. She's had clients like ESPN, and in 2023, Under Her Empire was one of 10 companies chosen by Fiverr to develop and maximize opportunities for growth, funding, and mentorship. The conversation starts now with Ryen Williams on Keep the Line Moving. All right, Ryen, this is so awesome. It's so great to spend time with you and talk about your company, which you launched in 2018. I love the mission behind the company. Let's go to the core of Under Her Empire, which I know makes you smile. Tell folks about what the core mission is of your business and what you want to get accomplished and what you have accomplished in 6-7 years now.
Yes. Okay. So the core mission and purpose of Under Her Empire is to really build community amongst creatives and giving them the tools and resources that they need for not only their personal development, but also their professional development as well. But also thinking about what is that overall message that they are putting out into the world. Because when we think about the entertainment that we watch or the news that we're constantly consuming daily or the social media that we're scrolling through, all of these things are created and they implant things into our minds. And then we start to see the world in different ways, and it shapes and shifts what we're experiencing on a daily. And so I think that when we have that knowing and we're aware of creativity and the importance of it, we have to think about, okay, how can we support creatives in a way that not only nurtures them, but also nurtures and cares for society, because it's a ripple effect.
So it's a dual mission, right? It's entertainment, creativity paired with what is best for society, right? Messaging and
Yes.
how to get to the core of each individual that you work with. So how do you cultivate your clients? Who are the clients that have responded well to what you want to accomplish? And I know you've won some awards and you've got some recognition, but we'll get to that. Tell me about some success stories. I love hearing about that.
Yes. Okay. So one thing that I'm very proud of is the fact that in 2022, I said that we did really great business. Our biggest client was ESPN, ESPN Disney, and they have this new platform called the Anscape, and Under Her Empire was granted the opportunity to work with them as their production partner for their campaign launch. And out of that, and out of projects like that, we are hiring a diverse range of creatives that have all different backgrounds, right? And need access to projects like this, but they don't know how to tap into it. And so we have a community of over 700 creatives spanning from photographers, videographers, hair and makeup artists, stylists, you name it, right? But all of them make up what a production is, like what we see, right? The final version of that production. And so many of them, majority of them are people of color, BIPOC creatives. And with that, right, we're pairing them with those types of companies. Like they're now able to put ESPN, Warby Parker, Bombas, they're able to put these companies on their resume as companies that they've worked for. But we've also been pairing them with mentors and different various experiences. And I'm proud to say that a lot of our creatives have had mentors at Meta, they've had mentors at Apple, and now the most exciting thing is that we're starting to grow and scale and thinking of ways to build technologies that will support all of what we've already built.
So let's break this down. So of those 700 people, what you're saying is in the example that you used with ESPN. So you're doing a creative project with ESPN. So there's an output, there's a video series or whatever, right? There's some sort of deliverable, okay?
Yeah.
But the folks that are doing hair and makeup, the folks that are cinematographers, producers, you're concerned with who those people are. And they're
Yeah.
not just another person doing that job. There's meaning behind who was hired for those specific roles. Do I
Yes.
have that accurately?
Yes, you have it accurate. I'm over here like, yes.
But that's incredible. I love that. And you pair them with mentors. So not only are they getting the work, but they're also understanding their role within the society of the creative process, as well as growing as professionals. How on earth did you come up originally with this incredible idea for a company like this? How did this what's the origin story there? That's amazing.
You know what? The origin story really is just working at amazing, incredible companies and gathering data, gathering experience, and all the things. But at the same time, you know, I don't know if you've ever felt this, but I had dreams and visions of a future for myself that felt blocked. And so I knew that there was this untapped or undiscovered potential within me that I was really tired of waiting for like people to tap in on. And so when I started to lose inspiration in the work that I was doing, I I really felt like I was overextending myself and at the same time feeling depressed and like the work I was contributing to was meaningless, right? And so in my mind I'm like, well, how do I make what I'm putting out into the world more meaningful? And so I realized that with all the experience, all the beautiful and lovely experience that I also had created this community of like-minded individuals who wanted to share space with me. And so it was just a matter of merging all of those things together and really starting like grassroots.
So it's a combination of storytelling, but storytelling with meaning.
Yeah.
So, of your team at Under Her Empire, describe your team and how you come together and complement one another with the various skill sets that they have. So, you can go into a company, right, in Brooklyn, New York, where you're sitting now, or across the country, or wherever the opportunities arise. Tell us about your team and how you've cultivated them, please.
Yeah. So we're a small but mighty team. It's like five of us. One of my other co-founders, her name is Brooke, and she is the head of strategies. She's really passionate about consumer insights, right? And so like when her and I met, it was almost like she was on the data and analytics side of house, right? And I'm on the creative side. And we're just like going out for lunch, just having conversations and realizing that there's this gap between creativity and data and analytics. And out of that, we're like, well, data can help to inform storytelling. And if creatives had access to this, like, and it was done in a way that was meaningful, how much more could we reach the masses, right? And so I think that was the initial conversation that we started having when we were like, okay, now we want to tell stories that are not only meaningful but also data driven. And so we began to build a team, and we have a brand writer, we have a strategist, a creative strategist, we have a designer, and that's our core team. But then, obviously, as we bring on new projects, we're tapping into our community for contractors and freelancers.
So, that team together did great work and you were recognized by Fiverr. Tell us that story and tell me what that meant to your company by being recognized as an up and coming entertainment media company?
Yes. Okay. So, they say at first you don't succeed. Try and try, try again.
Yes, absolutely.
Um, and
Absolutely.
so I think I really feel that there was this one year where like it just the applications were just hitting, and I don't know what it was. It was just one of those things like you just try and try again, and eventually the Fiverr Future Collective in 1863 partnership where they were featuring 10 different businesses, Black businesses across America. And I was one of them. Under Her Empires was chosen as one of the businesses, and I was one of the founders. That was really amazing. It was a 6-month course where we literally had mentorship, where we had Fiverr credits given to us. We had grants on top of that. And it just, it was just really amazing because it just showed me that there are programs out there that really care about the work that we're doing. But also, we were able to accomplish so much within that time frame. One being the MVP wireframe of the product that we're building to grow and scale under Her Empire and this entertainment media creative barter system for 2024, which is very exciting.
That is fantastic and very exciting. So let's ask about that. What is the future for Under Her Empire? In addition to the Fiverr partnership per se, what else do you want to accomplish in 24, 25, 26? What's the long range goal?
Yes, I think the long range goal is collaborative storytelling. That's the long range goal. A collaborative storytelling that is housed under a sustainable data driven ecosystem and streaming platform. So that's the big vision of what it is that we're building. But obviously, just like any business, Amazon is this master house now, but it started off as books, right? And so that has been something as a visionary where it's like, yeah, you got this big idea, but how do you start chipping away at that idea with the smaller steps? And so that's what we're working on now. But overall, the mission and the goal is to create more stories and allow creatives to actually have ownership in those stories.
Okay, I've got a follow up there that is intriguing me. What is the data telling you? What stories need to be told that are not being told as you and I sit here today?
Yes, that's such a great question. The data right now is telling us that number one, we're much more alike than we think. Like I mentioned before, we are all reflections of one another, right? We all have one common theme, right? Like we want shelter, we want love. We want community, right? But they feel that their stories are not reflected. I mean, even when you see like some of the same shows, right? I was just watching one show on Apple TV the other day, and it was about, I think Mark Wahlberg was in it, and he was like, he was like an undercover, or he used to be an undercover like sniper or something. I forgot what it was, right? But how many times have we seen that story, right? And I think that's the thing. It's like we're seeing the same stories over and over and over again, but they're told by the same types of people. And all we have to do is just change the language or change the background or change the type of person that's telling the story, and more people will feel seen and heard. And I think that that's the biggest part of what the data is telling us.
So, Ryen, that's interesting. So, are you talking micro stories, macro stories, or it doesn't matter, right? It could be 30 seconds or a 10-minute feature or a full length movie or a documentary. Where are you most comfortable facilitating that storytelling? Because obviously I've seen your work, I know your work, and there's a variety of lengths and in depth. But what is the core messaging you think you're most effective with and Under Her Empire can contribute in the stories that you're referencing?
Yeah, totally. I think it's just all stories in general to start, right? But what I will say is that I will say people will never forget. Actually, this is not something that I'm saying. This is something that I learned a long time ago. One thing that people will never forget is the way that you made them feel. Right. And so when we think about these types of stories that Under Her Empire is telling, we really want to, one, think about, okay, number one, what are our values? What are, we call them virtues, right? And the virtues should lead to your North Star. So your virtues lead to your North Star. But after you figured out what are your values, what are your virtues, what is your North Star, the next question is, how do we want people to feel? And for us, actually, I would love to read the virtues for to you.
Do it.
It's,
I love it.
okay. Okay. So one is responsibility of personal energy. That one is, I am responsible for the energy I bring into any space. The other one is courageous communication. We say the things that truly matter to us, right? Inclusion. We welcome an awareness of and require respect for cultural nuances. And we understand that there is a need for change. So we do it by celebrating one another. One is knowledge sharing. That one is, we believe in equal access to resources and tools. Then we have community elevation. If you want to go far, go together, an old African proverb. Manifestation. That one is, we speak words into life. Self-love. We support self-love and self-development. Growth mindset. We constantly evolve, grow, and set the bar higher. Those are our virtues, right? And so when I think about those virtues, it's like, how do we infuse that into the content that we're creating? And we don't have to infuse all of it, right? But one of the short films that we did, it was like our first film called Here We Go. It was loosely based off of my life as a web series, my life as a creative in New York, just trying to make it, right? The main character is homeless. She is a flight attendant. That's me. But that was my life, right? But those virtues were embedded in it. And then you also had the comedy, and you had the drama, and you had the love interest, and all of these things. But if people could see themselves in the different experiences and various experiences that we're putting out into the world, and they're being inspired, we're changing the world.
So let me make sure this is clear. The virtues that you just told us and explained to us and listed for us are features and virtues of Under Her Empire. So the folks that work with you have to understand,
Yes.
comprehend, and as you said, feel those virtues. But those are also guiding principles. And as you said, a North Star for the storytelling, right? Do you feel something after you have experienced this video series or web series, as you said? Is that accurate, Ryen?
Yes, that's so accurate. And it's also important for us to partner with brands and businesses who also believe in this mission, right? And so when we're creating campaigns, I created a campaign with Bombas, and it was formerly homeless, current homeless talent. And that was the mission and the purpose. The purpose was to make sure that, one, we were being inclusive, but two, we were actually supporting this community who is deserving of support, right? And I was on the call as the producer. I'm on the call with a lot of our talent crying because they've never had hair and makeup done before. Not only the fact that like they're talent, but we're also compensating them for this. We're gifting them for this. You know what I mean? And it's like, it makes you feel like a brand truly cares not only about selling this product, but also about community. And if you care about one, then the other, like the revenue flows after that, you know?
Yes. Let's back up a little bit. You majored in economics in college, right?
Yeah.
So How did you get here? So you had a great career going. You majored in economics. You still have a great career going. But my point is, what was the catalyst moment that made you say, let's do this? Let's create an entertainment and media company to tell meaningful stories that affect people in a great and productive way. What was that moment? I know I probably should have asked this 20 minutes ago, but the no better time than the current, right?
Right, period. So I didn't really do well in economics. I don't know how I got there. I do know that I've always been like in creative arts. I've always been a creative. I remember directing my first play in 5th grade. I remember I was the Tin Man at 9 years old, but also around that same time, I wrote the dean at Juilliard and at NYU. And I actually have this plaque that my parents gave to me on my birthday. But it's a letter that I wrote I think I was like 8 or 9 years old. The letter that I wrote to the dean at Juilliard and at New York University, and then the letter that they wrote back. And it's like framed with my picture or whatever. But I always had like dreams and aspirations to be a creative, whether it was acting at one point, whether it was directing. I wanted to be a stylist at one point. I was in some photography classes, but you know what? I never saw it as a career opportunity for whatever reason. And so when it came to studying in school and going to college, that wasn't my mindset. And even though in college, while I was studying economics, I was also a makeup artist at MAC Cosmetics. And so it was always this burning desire in me to be a creative, but trying to be more like on the business side or front, or, like do the things that made more sense. And so that's how I ended up studying economics. But when I graduated, I graduated with, transparently, like a 2.75, right? And I ended up moving to New York and really kind of just sleeping on couches and building relationships. And then I became a flight attendant. And so I was flying and then coming back and doing makeup for a shoot. And that's where it started, coming here and being like, okay, my friends are photographers or are directors. They might need a hair and makeup artist. And then that inspired me to do more, and that opened the door for more. And eventually I ended up being a producer, which manages all of it, right? And so I think because I am this multi-hyphenate creative, that's why I was led into production and to be a producer.
But you look at the origin story, what you just beautifully stated, that whole story there. Not every 8-year-old writes Juilliard or NYU. That takes courage.
Yeah.
Even the presence of mind as a little girl doing that, sitting down and writing that, and then you look at the different stages of your life, there's always courage involved. You're a flight attendant, but you're also doing hair and makeup and starting to produce. And as you said, get a well-rounded experience in the entertainment industry. And then to have the courage to launch a business in 2018, you have to look back and be proud and see the sequences, right, in your life that have got you where you are. That has to be fulfilling, I would assume.
Yeah, it really is. It's like and we talked about this earlier about going with the flow. The flow is not always sometimes the flow is rigid, and it's almost like one of those things where I think for me, what my North Star was as an individual was creativity and community. And so I see that playing out in what we're building with Under Her Empire. But I also, every step of the way within my life, my life's journey, creativity and community was really at the forefront of that.
Okay, let's do all-star moments and then we'll call it a day. How's that?
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. So these are first thought, best thought. So don't think, okay? Just react. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Here we go. 1, how do you deal with adversity?
Full speed ahead.
2, how do you give yourself fuel?
Meditation.
3, what does never give up mean to you?
Never give up means no matter what people are saying, no matter what the odds might be, you have to keep going, knowing with the faith, full faith, that it's going to work out, and that every single thing that happens in your life is supposed to be a part of this journey. And you just have to unlock the reasons why it's a part of your journey, but also know that it's a testimony to somebody else. So never give up.
I love it. You brought it even full circle. I love it. What is the value of collaboration?
Ooh. One idea from one person is magnified with another idea from another person.
Okay, so you've hired people, obviously. What do you look for in an ideal candidate to join either Under Her Empire or other projects you've worked on?
I have one question that is I'm like, should I say this on camera? But one question in my interview is, what do you hope to experience in this lifetime? And that question unlocks so much of who that person is. And it surprises everyone. It won't surprise them now because they're seeing it. But I think that's really important for me when I'm hiring. It's like, I look for people who can learn from me, but also who I can learn from. And I can learn from anybody. I can learn from an intern. I can learn from a baby. And I think that that's important. And I want to see that same characteristic in the person that I'm hiring.
Describe yourself as a leader in one sentence.
Ooh, okay. I am a vulnerable encourager.
Nice. Okay, last one. What's the difference in your mind between a manager and a leader?
Ooh, okay. I love that. A manager is someone who cares more about the end goal of the work being done than they do about the person, the human that they're working with. A leader cares about that human. They want to know, what do you need in order to succeed, not just in this role, but in life? And how can I support you in getting there?
Fantastic. Ryen, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, thank you for having me, Chris. I'm so grateful.
And we thank Ryen very much for being on the show. My takeaway is related to something that is on Ryen's website, Under Her Empire, which is joy-infused content. And if you listen to Ryen, she is saying, take care of the creatives that are producing the content, so the emotional connection goes from the creatives to whatever the work product is, to the brand, to the consumer. Everyone is factored into that entire ecosystem of content creation. What a mission, what a company, Under Her Empire. And we thank Ryen Williams very much for being on the show. And next week, everybody, we will have shorter episodes, audio only, intimate conversations. We're giving it a shot. We want to see what you think. Let us know. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you next time on Keep the Line Moving. Every week, you hear guests on this podcast talk about some of their biggest leadership challenges. As a leader, you want to make an impact on those you lead and reach your organization's goals, while also optimizing your time management. Wherever you are in your leadership journey, we could all use some help. This is what we focus on with our group and individual coaching services. To book a call or get more information, email me directly at chrisg@garganoleadership.com. or visit our website at garganoleadership.com. For our podcast and video producer, Jack Radutsky, and our marketing coordinator, Savin Narwal, have a great week, everybody.